So, when the credits rolled on Game of Thrones, you might think the story was over, but it wasn't. Not even close. An absolutely massive universe of stories popped up, all written by fans. And right at the center of it all, one guy, Jon Snow, whose entire fate was basically picked up and completely rewritten.
There's this one comment from a fan on Reddit that just perfectly sums up the entire mood behind this thing. They wrote, "I have a competency kink, so sue me." And honestly, that's it. That's the feeling. Thousands of people wanted to see their hero be, well, competent.
And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. Why? What was it about Jon Snow's official ending that launched this incredible creative movement across the internet? Okay, so before we can get into how fans fixed the story, we've got to understand what they felt was broken in the first place. For a lot of people, what happened to Jon in those last couple of seasons just felt wrong, like a total betrayal of the character they'd been rooting for all along. I mean, just look at the difference here. On the one hand, you have the show's Jon Snow, the guy who famously said, "I don't want it," and ends up being passive and exiled. But then you have the fanfiction version. A Jon who says, "You know what? I do want it." A proactive leader, the king of ice and fire. This is the guy the fandom calls BAMF Jon Snow, basically a certified badass who, for once, actually knows something.
So all this frustration didn't just bubble up in comment threads and then fade away. Oh no. It launched a full-on quest. Fans started flocking to these online hubs, places like the subreddit The Citadel or the huge fanfiction site Archive of Our Own, all looking for one thing: stories that did Jon Snow justice.
And they were super specific about what they wanted. This wasn't just vague complaining, it was a wish list. They wanted a Jon who was competent, a Jon who embraced being a Targaryen. They wanted a story that was actually about him. Oh, and of course, they wanted dragons. Lots of dragons. And the audience for this stuff, it was huge. Staggering, really. If you look at the hit counts, which are basically just views on these stories, you're seeing numbers in the hundreds of thousands for a single fan-written story. This wasn't some tiny niche hobby. This was a massive movement. So that brings us to the fun part. How did they actually do it? With a clear mission and a giant hungry audience, writers got to work. And they used this powerful toolkit of storytelling ideas, what fan fiction writers called tropes, to rebuild Jon's story from the ground up. Let's start with the big one, probably the most popular tool in the box, the time travel fix-it. It's such a cool concept. You take your character who's seen everything go wrong and you send their mind all the way back into their younger body. Now they have a chance to fix everything. It's the ultimate do-over. Suddenly, the Jon who got exiled wakes up as a kid back in Winterfell. But this time, he knows everything. He knows who to trust, who to watch out for, he knows the White Walkers are coming, and he knows who his parents really are. The game is his to win. All right, next up we've got the alternate universe, or AU. For this one, you don't even need time travel. All you have to do is change one single thing from the past and ask, what if? What if Rhaegar had won the war? What if Ned Stark had told Jon the truth from day one? Any tiny change can spin the story off in a wild new direction. Take this idea, for example. What if Jon wasn't raised in Winterfell at all? What if he was taken to Essos as a kid? Suddenly, he's not the brooding bastard of the North. Maybe he's a Dothraki warrior or a cunning merchant prince. It completely changes who he becomes. And then, for the writers, he thought, you know what Jon needs? More power. There's the crossover. This is where things get really fun. You take a character or a magic system from a completely different universe, like, say, the video game Skyrim or the show Avatar: The Last Airbender, and you just drop it right into Westeros. So in one super popular story, Jon Snow isn't just a secret Targaryen. He's also the dragonborn from Skyrim. He's got the soul of a dragon and can literally shout people apart with magic. It's a pretty significant upgrade. So let's put it all together. We've got the problem, we've got the fan wish list, and we've got the storytelling tools they use to make it happen. What does the final product look like? What is the ideal fan-made Jon Snow? Well, there's a pretty clear recipe that keeps showing up. Number 1, he embraces his Targaryen blood. Number 2, he gets a dragon, and usually a really awesome one. 3, he becomes a political genius, totally unlike the guy from the show. And 4, he makes smart alliances to lock down his power. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. The data tells the same story. If you look at the most popular search tags for Jon Snow fanfiction, what do you see? Bamf Jon Snow. Jon Snow is a Targaryen. Time travel fix it. Jon has a dragon. It's the exact recipe right there. It's what people want, and it's what writers are giving them.
But here's the really interesting part. This whole movement isn't just about going back and fixing the ending. It's also about building a brand new future for a character whose story felt like it just stopped.
Fans are basically writing the sequels that will never get made. In these stories, Jon isn't just aimlessly wandering around north of the Wall. No, he's building a new kingdom for the free folk. He's starting a family. He's finally digging into his warging powers. Some stories even say the Long Night isn't really over, setting him up for another huge fight. For these fans, his story is far from done. And that kind of leaves us with this one big question. The great rewrite of Jon Snow really shows what can happen when a character becomes so iconic that he breaks free from his original story. He becomes this shared idea, constantly being changed and reimagined by the community that loves him. It really makes you wonder, at what point does a character stop belonging to just their creator and start belonging to all of us?